Hi, my name is Ray Poynter and I'll be starting the presentation looking at our new manifesto for communities before handing over the mic to Ysaline Lannoy, who will describe how these ideas are turned into reality at Nestlé. So, here is our agenda for the session and we can get started. When we talk about the future, we need to think about how we got into the current position. The first step back in the 1990s was the arrival of online research for both quantitative and qualitative research. This is what made communities as we think about them today possible. Very quickly after online panels arrived, there were concerns about the quality of the data. Who were these people? What we found was by creating communities of people we knew and understood, we could achieve higher quality research. Many organisations wanted to have the chance of using their own resources or a choice of using agencies. What they needed to do that was a standardised tool which combined tools such as surveys with a pool of people ready to take those surveys, ready to take part in qualitative exercises. And that's what Insight Communities provided. Over the last 20 years, there's been a shift from product centricity to customer centricity. In research terms, this has been a shift away from nationally representative samples to communities of customers. The need for speed has been growing for decades. Online research made everything faster, and communities has made it faster still. Organisations know that they do not have a monopoly of good ideas. They succeed better when they co-create with customers, another real advantage of Insight Communities. And finally, there is cost. Organisations have found that communities offer much better ROI than ad hoc options. And all of these together have put us in the position that we're in today with Insight Communities. So where are we today? What we can see is that communities are everywhere. They are the fastest growing new research approach of the last 20 years, as repeatedly the GRIP reports have shown. We know that the best communities, they have qual and quant. They have highly engaged members. They're linked to other data. They're connected to the whole enterprise. They have a high cadence of usage and they measure the ROI. But we know that this doesn't happen. These are the best practices, but actually very few organisations are achieving all of those. We really need to change because we need to facilitate agile. We need to facilitate democratising. We need to ensure we're delivering ROI. There is an absolute explosion of platforms. There are so many different tools and SaaS options available out there that we need to make sure we're utilising them in the right way. And there is this big shift towards human centricity. What we need to do is make all of those best practices the norm. And then we need to raise the bar. That's why we have created a 10-point manifesto for change. And I'm going to take you through these 10 points. The first step is to focus on human centricity. Stop thinking of customers and buyers and viewers and voters as people who only exist when they interact with you. Start thinking of the whole person. What are their needs and where do you fit in the picture? As Stan says in this quote, focus on the human condition. In these days of fake news, business scandals and a growing awareness of techniques like nudging, the importance of establishing and growing trust is paramount. Communities are built on trust and they need to be the engine of growing trust between organisations and their customers, between users and members. Examples of trust include rewarding members fairly, sharing interesting and useful information back with the community, and genuinely listening to the community. A community is formed by people who share a common interest or passion. That is why we need to identify communities of interest. In most cases, this means communities are based on customers or users. There are alternative communities of interest, such as an activity, a passion, a health condition, or a geography. But every community needs a common interest between the members and the organisation creating the community. You can run research projects with people in return for cash incentives, but you can't build a community without also offering intrinsic rewards. Communities are built on relationships, and relationships are built on time. A community is a commitment by an organisation to work with its customers, its users, viewers, etc., to co-create the future. A community needs to be built over time. It can't just be a series of first dates. Building trust over time means adopting a longitudinal approach, where what people have said in the past is part of the picture. Short-term or pop-up communities have their place in research, but only as a tactical solution to a specific problem. These short-term communities should not be confused with communities of interest. The need for insights is widespread. It's not located just in the insight department. That is why there is this big trend towards democratizing insights. Different and devolved teams need to be able to create and utilize research. This is what we mean by delivering democratization. Communities need to deliver this democratized insights process in a way that protects against bad practice and makes it easier to do the research right. This protection is offered by creating processes that allow dispersed users to benefit from insights without running the risk of mistakes. Two key elements of agile, and agile, as you know, is really hot at the moment, but these two key elements are iterative and integrated. Iterative can be summarized as less research more often, or as build, test, learn. Integrated means that multidisciplinary teams need to work together in ways defined by the project, not by historical job titles. Communities must provide bridges between teams and customers, between teams and external specialists, and between teams and insight managers. Agile communities need to be able to deliver in reliable and affordable ways, and communities need to deliver agile as a key priority. Insights and research need to be both broad and deep. Communities focus on depth, allowing an understanding of issues like motivations, reactions, and innovations to be assessed. In order to provide breadth, communities need to be integrated with programs such as CX, brand tracking, social media monitoring, and passive transactional data. This combination is referred to as T-shaped research, where the community provides the deep stick of the T and the other tools provide the crossbar of the T, i.e. the breadth. Insights and research need to prove their value in terms of ROI, return on investment. The first level of ROI is shown in terms of how much would a comparable amount of research have cost. Typically, this shows that communities provide 3 or more times as much research for the same amount of money. However, real ROI needs to be linked to outcomes based on setting targets, measuring outcomes, and conducting post-project reviews. Almost at the end of our manifesto now, number 9, integrated. Organizations have multiple needs and need to meet these needs in different ways by connecting various data strands. T-shaped research is a good example of integration. Other integrations include linking communities to transactional data and to external suppliers, for example, panel companies. When conducting quant surveys with external panels, use the same survey platform that is used for members to boost integration and comparability. When conducting qual or usability research, recruit the participants from the community, benefiting from the deep profiles of those community members. And our 10th point is empathy. A key role of a community is to build empathy between the people in the organisation and its customers, its users, its viewers, etc. In most cases, the people who work for an organisation are not a representative cross-section of their customers, viewers, users, etc. For example, the customers of most banks are not financially savvy. The viewers of TV channels are not the same as those people who create the programs and the content. And the users of public services are not the same as those who provide them. However, whilst empathy is important, it is not easy. Communities can provide a really useful tool for boosting that empathy and developing it. Those are the 10 elements of the Manifesto for Communities. You will receive a link to the ebook version of the manifesto after the webinar. But now I want to hand the mic to Ysaline Lannoy, who will show how these ideas are being put into practice at Nestlé. Ysaline, over to you.
Hello, thank you for joining today. I'm Ysaline Lannoy. I work in the market intelligence team of Nestlé for Belgium and Luxembourg. I'm in charge of supporting our brands in their needs for consumer and shopper insights. At Nestlé and in our market intelligence team, we like to think that we are a bridge between the consumer and our brands. So consumer centricity is a key element of our strategy and a challenging one in a world that keeps evolving always faster. The latest big change that strongly impacted the life of our consumer is, of course, COVID. It raised a series of questions such as, is it safe to go shopping? Am I taking care of my body and my mind as I should? Will home working remain a norm? So all of these elements deeply impact our consumers' behavior, their habits, the way they consume, the way they shop, and even the way they live. So consumer centricity is always strategic, but even more when strong changes strike. So it's important to understand how these changes impact your consumers and to remain agile, to be able to adapt to these fast changes. Yet, when you're a company of the size of Nestlé, it can be tough to keep in touch with your consumers, so it's really important to keep the conversation going. And for a country like Belgium, with all the complexities related to the fact that we are a federal state with 3 different communities. So I don't know if you know it, but in Belgium we have a Dutch-speaking community, a French-speaking community, and then also a German-speaking community. So it's important to have a local understanding of our consumers because they all think differently. And it's also important to have fresh insights that come directly from the consumer to us. And to do this, Potentiate and their tool ConsoLab was a great help for us to co-create together with our consumer in the idea of the consumer actor. We were able to practice active listening instead of a top-down communication from us to them. And thanks to that, we developed solutions that answer very specific issues of our consumers. And it also allows us to create much more value to compete with private labels because they can only focus on price. And with the focus of our consumers, we can develop a value around our products and our brands. So thanks to their tool, we developed templates that help us to predict future trends like punctual one-shot studies to answer specific problematics. This year, several of our confectionery department did studies, and also for Garden Gourmet to raise insights about vegetarians and vegans in Belgium. We also have evaluative measures such as barometers, because that means that we take a measure at one point in the time and then we take another one later, and we measure the evolutions. And so we developed a consumer barometer and a shopper barometer. actually, our brands are very fond of this this tool because it allows them to have a startup mindset and to discuss with the consumers. It's also very agile because you can do almost everything from quantitative to qualitative studies. It's also sort of a free tool for them because they pay a yearly subscription. But after that, they can do an unlimited amount of studies. And then in terms of timing, it's really fast. Usually we count between 4 and 5 days between the moment we launch the survey and the moment we can analyze the data and make a report. And so this year in 2020, we did 37 studies. The average satisfaction we had when we performed our satisfaction survey with our brands internally was 7.5 out of 10. So it's really good. We were so satisfied. What we do is usually we make a report after our analysis, and about the satisfaction for these reports, we had an 8 out of 10. So very good as well. Our brands believe that there is a strong impact of the tool ConsoLab on their strategies. So it was amazing to use this tool this year, and we are so thankful because we can really evaluate the added value of this tool to our strategy and to consumer centricity for Nestlé. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ysaline. That was a great description of what is possible and how to raise the bar. Everything we're talking about in this presentation is already happening somewhere, but nobody's doing all of these elements completely, and the point of the manifesto is to collect all of these ideas together and to make them the norm. So, to summarize: 1. Be human-centric. 2. Use your community as the hub of a 360-degree view of your customers. And 3. Create an agile asset, driving insight, advocacy, and ROI. But before we start the Q&A, I want to highlight 3 steps you can take to turn the manifesto into action. Take a broader view of your insight needs, not focus on tools, but focused on what being human-centric means to your business. Take the time to define who you need to reach and connect in terms of customers, employees, stakeholders, and beyond. And 3, to be honest, engage with us to help activate the manifesto in the context of your organization. Thank you for listening to our presentation.